We've spent 8 episodes asking the hardest questions. Why you chase? Why you go back? Why you lose yourself? Why you push people away? Why you stay? And why you attract the same person over and over? And why you think you can fix him? And underneath every single one of those patterns, there are 2 beliefs, quiet, old, buried so deep most women don't even know they're carrying them. The belief that I have to work hard to earn love, and the belief that I am, at some level, flawed, unworthy, not quite enough. Today, in this final episode, we're going to the root. Every pattern in this series is a symptom. These 2 beliefs are the cause. The first, I have to earn love, shows up as giving more than you receive and calling it love, making yourself smaller to keep the peace and calling it compromise, tolerating what hurts you because leaving feels like failing. The second, I am flawed, unworthy, shows up in the relationship you accept, the treatment you tolerate, the voice that whispers when someone leaves, of course they did. Now, these beliefs aren't the truth about you. They are predispositions, conclusions your nervous system drew before you were old enough to question them. And the reason they're so hard to shift is that they don't live in your conscious mind. They live in your body, in your nervous system. You can know you are worthy of love and still not feel it, still not choose it. That gap is where the work has to happen. I want to tell you why I do this work, because it didn't come from a textbook. It came from my own life. My story started very early. Abuse began when I was just 2 years old. I grew up with a very violent father and a mother who was emotionally absent, completely checked out. And what I learned, what any child learns in that environment, is that the world is not safe, that I was not safe, and that something about me at my core must have been the reason I felt defective. The abuse didn't stop in childhood. As a teenager, I experienced it again and again. By that point, I had already learned to fracture, to disconnect from my body, my feelings, my sense of who I was. Dissociation kept me functioning, but the self who went on to make choices about love was not my whole self. It was a fractured self, built around survival, not around worth, not around self-love. So I spent 7 years in a relationship that reflected exactly what I believed about myself. He was controlling. I was dependent on him, not because I was weak, but because I was terrified. I needed the protection, the stability he offered, but the cost was everything. I had to be compliant, the good girl. His needs were always important because that was the deal. I stayed because of fear. I stayed because of shame I carried since I was 2 years old. Shame that told me this diminished, invisible version of love was what I was entitled to. And then I couldn't compromise anymore. Not one more time. I felt anger, real anger, the kind that finally refused to go back down. I couldn't swallow it anymore. A need to live on my own terms, to stop playing safe, playing small, allowing someone else to decide what was acceptable, what was allowed, to stop having my no met with a threat of abandonment. I wanted my body back, my voice back, my life back. And I understood finally that no one was going to give those things to me. I was going to have to choose them. And that choice was the beginning of everything. And for the long, real work of healing that followed, I built the Heart Awakening Revolution Therapy, Heart for short. And I built it because insight alone doesn't change the pattern. You can understand everything in the series and still make the same choices because the belief isn't in your mind. It's in your physical and energy body, and it needs to be released there. Heart is not traditional talk therapy. It's not a course or a set of mindset tools. It goes directly to where the belief lives, in the body, in the emotional memory, in the nervous system, and creates the conditions for it to be released at the root. We go to the moment the belief was formed, the experience, the conclusion your younger self drew, and we complete something that was left incomplete. We give your nervous system a different experience of that moment. Not changing your history, but changing what that history means to you now. When you release the belief that you have to earn love, everything changes. Not because you suddenly have perfect relationships, but because you stop accepting the ones that ask you to disappear. Everything in this series connects back to this. You chase unavailable men because love has to be earned. And easy love doesn't count. You go back because leaving feels like proof you weren't enough. You lose yourself because your needs feel like an inconvenience. You push people away because being truly seen feels dangerous. When you believe what they'd see is something flawed. And you stay because leaving means confronting the belief that you might not be lovable enough to try again. And you attract the same men because your nervous system is following a blueprint built on the belief that this is what love looks like for someone like you. You try to fix him because making yourself indispensable feel safer than simply being loved, or being who you are. Now, these aren't character flaws. They are intelligent responses to the beliefs you formed before you had any choice in the matter. And beliefs that were learned can be unlearned. If you watch this series and recognize yourself, that recognition is not just discomfort, that's the beginning of something. Awareness is always the first thing, but it only takes you so far. You can understand every pattern here with complete clarity and still find yourself in the same relationship, with the same dynamic, making the same choices. Because the beliefs driving the patterns are deeper than understanding can reach. And they need to be met at that level. And if you're ready to go beyond understanding, to actually release the beliefs that have been running your love life silently, I'd love to work with you. The Heart Awakening Revolution therapy method is the work I was built to do, built from my own healing journey spanning 20 years, and it's for women exactly like you. The link is in the description, and you don't have to be ready right now, of course, but if something in you is saying, this is it, just trust that. You are not your patterns, you are not your history, and you are not the beliefs that were handed to you before you were old enough to question them. You are a woman who asked the question, who chose to understand herself more than she did before. And that is not a small thing. That is massive. The love you've been working so hard to earn, you never had to earn it. It was always something you deserved simply for being here, for existing. So thank you for being here and for every episode. And I'll see you in the next chapter. And the link to work with me is in the description below. From my heart to yours, with love.